Okay.
Appears to be working.
All right, my apologies. I now have 6:01 to call this December 19, 2024 special Shelby County Board meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Teresa Bain. Present. Tim Brown. Carol Cole. Here. Julie Edwards. Here. Chrissy Grant. Here. Jeff Gray.
Here.
Clay Hardy.
Here.
Keith McCormick. Christy Matlaw. Yes. Tad Mayhall.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Here.
Gene Price. Austin Pritchard.
Here.
Sonny Ross.
Here.
Larry Seifert.
Here.
Don Tate.
Here.
Christy Walker. Brent Wallace. Chad Yanis.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll get started this evening with public body comment. Public body comment? Public body comment? Public body comment. Okay, thank you. Move on to item 5. Announce a vacancy in County Board District Number 2 due to the resignation of Mark Bennett. Item 6. Announce the vacancy of County Board District 7 due to the resignation of Robert Orman. Item 7, I would like to welcome up representatives from Performance Services to discuss planning for the courthouse repairs and renovations.
Where would you like this, Mr. Chairman?
What's that?
Where would you like this?
If you want to give it to me, I can make sure we get it out.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, so my name is Blaine Meadows with Performance Services, and so I'll let this gentleman introduce himself as well.
Tim Weber, Performance Services. I'm a principal architect.
So we're the firm that's been working with the county over the last month or so on the courthouse renovation and repairs. So we're a true design build firm. We have licensed architects and engineers on staff here in the state of Illinois, and we specialize in doing design build projects for local governments, education entities like school districts for projects just like what you all are considering for your courthouse. There's a number of things that we've been considering. The flyer that we have here handed out highlights who we are as a company and our strengths and what we specialize in. So I encourage you all to look over that, but just wanted to make sure we had a chance to introduce ourselves and answer any questions that the board may have about another agenda item we have coming on later on. But yeah, we are excited to continue a partnership with the county if we would be the firm. I know there's an item to authorize some funds to be used from ARPA to get a couple projects going. So yeah, I wanted to introduce ourselves, and I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add. Just think that generally we just wanted to introduce ourselves.
I think the biggest thing that makes us different is that we're a design-led, design-build firm. So I'm a principal architect. I specialize in the municipal realm. I start early on the project and I stay engaged throughout. I would be the primary contact. You don't always see that in the design-build firm.
Anybody have any questions? Now, and maybe you said this and I didn't hear you because I wasn't paying attention to everything in the beginning because we've talked so many times. But Mr. Meadows, if you remember before, was responsible for immediately out of the gate working with the sheriff quickly to get the window project started and underway. So efficiency has proven itself here through this. So no other questions. If we get down to the point later, we have some other questions on the item we'll get to you. So thank you very much. We'll move on to item 8, which is discussion and vote to approve the purchase of components to repair the courthouse clock tower from Electric Time Company, Inc., with ARPA funds in the amount of $10,231. I have a motion on this. Ms. Bain and Mr. Pritchard with a second. Any discussion or questions on this? Anything you want to add to this, Tim?
Originally, we looked at trying to repair what's up there, and it's so old and there's parts missing. This was the best option. It has a remote box to where it can be adjusted without people having to go up there. It should be state of the art.
For anybody that might have need to want to look at this too, I have at least this part of the project. There's two parts to this project, but the components and pictures and stuff are here for anybody that might want to look. Yes, sir.
Is there any type of timeline when they think they might be able to get to it? How long it'll take?
It's custom made, so I think she said 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No.
Same days?
Yeah. I did price out faces, but if you look on the paper, the faces are $120,000 for faces, and that's, exorbitant. We don't need that. We need works.
So like I say, this is the first part of the project, which is the mechanics to get it working again. And then we have another item for the actual installation and labor to this. So any other questions or discussion on item 8? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Bain,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhaw,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seibert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. On to item 9, discuss and vote to approve using ARPA funds for the installation of courthouse clock tower components by Holland & Holland Masonry and Crane Incorporated for $25,165. I have a motion on this, please. So I got Ms. Matlock in the back, we got Mr. Gray in the back. Any questions or discussion on this part? Yes, ma'am.
This is the crane. He will use the crane installation to do the other work that we just approved.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Is there any, I don't know, I didn't try to figure out all this mechanism and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything specific to installing all this? I mean, is Holland and these guys, are they capable, or are they gonna have to subcontract that?
Holland will bring the crane to do the outside work. Powell's Electric from Teotopos will do the inside work with all the wiring and the installation.
Is that
And
gonna
they
be a
looked at-
separate deal, or is that
No, that's
included in this
included.
price?
That's included in that price.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So this 25,000 gets it up and operating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is in combination, so I think in the re-ads, it includes assistance from Powell's Electric. Any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, roll call please.
Bain,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhaw,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seibert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10, discussion and vote to approve the use of ARPA funds to purchase receiver system upgrade components for the receiver site in Windsor, Illinois from Global Technical Systems, Inc. for $15,689.91. Have a motion on this one, please. And Ms. Matlock in the back. I've got Mr. Pritchard in the back. Questions or discussion on this item? So, yes.
Okay, is this for the sheriff's department? Is that what this is for?
Yes. This is a receiver to go in Windsor to give us better radio coverage there. But we're going to be doing it in conjunction with the 911 board is going to be putting up fire equipment there. And if we piggyback and we can share some of the equipment, the microwave length, and it's much cheaper, using part of their equipment and then adding this receiver.
So again, as we discussed before on this item, this goes back to the items discussed in the spring, where instead of one big sweeping project, they're being done in strategic areas to enhance not only your services, but also other emergency services for this. Any other questions, discussion on this? Nope, seeing none, roll call please.
Bain,
Yes.
Cole, Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhall,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 11, discuss and vote to approve the use of $50,000 in ARPA funds to assist in the purchase of 2 patrol vehicles for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department. Do I have a motion on this? Ms. Matlock, Ms. Bain. Questions, discussions on this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
help me understand how $50,000 purchases 2 squad cars for the sheriff?
So this will be to assist in the purchase of, so with the ARPA report provided, the sheriff made some purchases in this year, I'll say this year, right, last fiscal year, for a couple of vehicles, and the report reflects that he's got a little over $14,000 left in ARPA funds as it related to the obligation of that money. So the 50 plus 14 will give him 64 according to the report. And then the rest will then come out of what he already had budgeted for the year. So essentially, it's going to be a little bit like what we did last week with Highway Department, where essentially it's a cost share to remove some of it from his budget to provide him 2 more vehicles for this year.
Okay. So this will give him 2 squad cars, but then also provide a significant decrease in what he has budgeted, or at least help alongside of that.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this one? No? Okay, roll call please.
Bain,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhall,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. On item 12, discussion and vote to approve the use of ARPA funds to contract with Performance Services for $536,863 to perform courthouse repairs. Have a motion on this one, please. I've got Ms. Bain in a second. I've got Mr. Yantis. Discussion and questions, please.
I'll bring up what I had. I'd asked Chairman Mayhall what happens if we hit this max amount, and he's explained to us that the company that we choose will let us know when we're approaching that amount. And from what I've read, it includes projects such as the stucco. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the REIT has had the scope of work and the projects based on which floor, and then the scope of work available in the contract will work with the sheriff and Mr. Meadows to determine the priority of which items really need to be done first.
Okay.
You know, it was recently done where there's moisture on the east wall here, and a very simple test of taking 2 bottles of water to the roof determined that the water never made it to the outside of the building. So,
It also included handicap accessible in our bathrooms. Is that correct? So
That's
those
correct.
we prioritize as we.
Yes.
Okay.
yes, so determining on the need, you know, if it's an infrastructure issue, you know, for a sidewall possibly down the road collapsing, then, but we will, again, the sheriff and Mr. Meadows worked incredibly well together on the window project, and so we will work to prioritize that with input from folks that definitely know a lot more about this than I do. And then, in addition to this, we do have another grant for the courthouse that exists as well. And so, in looking at the money available through ARPA, not to grossly exceed what we think we have, guidance from Bellwether was to over-obligate, and the over-obligation made sense most with Mr. Meadows because of the flexibility of the contract that we'll have available. And then we also have the DECO grant available as well. So just making sure that we understand exactly how much we have with the upcoming items we discussed on audit. I would expect by the time we get through those, we're going to know where our ARPA funds really stand and the flexibility on that. So, but yes, the guidance from Bellwether was, go ahead you know, you could either take the rest of the budget or other funds to cover your expenses.
Okay, I have no.
As long as we don't overspend it, right? We can overspend, just don't overspend it. Any other questions on this particular item? Okay, we'll see none, roll call vote, please.
Bang.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Hardy.
Yes.
Matlock.
Yes.
Mayhaw.
Yes.
Morse. Pritchard.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Seibert.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Move on to item 13, discussion and vote to approve the use of $125,000 in ARPA funds to contract with Sikich LLP to perform pre-audit services for fiscal years 2023, 2024, and 2025 annual audits and budget preparation and monitoring assistance services for fiscal years 25, 26, and 27.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Ross, have a second. All right, Ms. Matlock. Questions, discussion? Yes, sir.
Is this 125,000 just to like lock it in a contract? Or is there more expenditures to come depending on the amount of services that they provide?
It's a fantastic question. So in the art of trying to come up with the right math on what money to obligate for this, in speaking with the clerk, how much was budgeted in fiscal year 2025 for audits? Because we have 2 audits that have to be done this year. We've still got to accomplish fiscal year 23 and fiscal 24 in fiscal year 25. And so the math was looked at between the 2 firms, because one will do the pre-audit, one will do the audit, was trying to split proportionally cost share between the budget as well as the overages. The estimated cost for this year for the 2 audits that we have to do could be over $300,000. So it was an attempt to offset budget constraints, but then also be able to use the money in other places in the county as well. But we've got to get both of these audits done in right quick. And I will tell you that I've spent a considerable amount of time on the phone and video conference with both of these firms since October. Would that be fair? I think, and Mr. Ross has joined me in some of those as well. And so going back through the audit findings for the fiscal year 22 audit was the basis for, part of the basis for finding a pre-audit firm. Specifically, findings 2022-002, finding 2022-003, finding 2021-001, and those are respectively for finding 2022-02. The county does not have internal control procedures in place to ensure that its annual financial statements and related footnote disclosures are properly prepared, completed, and presented in accordance with modified cash basis of accounting. The recommendation for this finding was we recommend that management either 1, provide training for its key accounting personnel so that they will be able to prepare financial statements and footnotes for the county, and or number 2, contract with an accountant or firm that has the relevant skills, knowledge, and expertise to prepare financial statements and footnotes. So in order to become compliant with the items in our most recent audit findings, this tends to fit the bill. That particular item, for reference, the contact person responsible for this corrective action is the board chairman, and the anticipated completion date is December of 2024. So I think we're sticking the landing on our time frame today. Since I already mentioned it, finding 2022-003, as it relates to budgeting, the recommendation was we further recommend the county prepare budgets for all of its funds in order to improve its ability to monitor its financial activity during the fiscal year. Anybody that tuned in over the last 60 days, our budgeting process was a struggle. And Sikich has offered up their budget, not only prep, but monitoring services, very detailed discussion with them on exactly what data they use, where they pull their revenue data from, the inflation data. It was very, very impressive. It wasn't just we're going to look and take our best wag at it. So again, another finding from the most recent audit. This helps us bring us up to compliance with that. And then the last one was finding 2021-001, with the finding being the county does not have an internal control policy in place over annual financial reporting that would enable management to prepare its annual financial statements and ensure related footnote disclosures are completed and presented in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting. The corrective action responsible for this, again, is the board chair, and contact is the treasurer. And so this, again, would bring us back up to the standards that we need to get these audits taken care of. Also, the anticipated completion date of these items was December of 2024. So these are available up here too for anybody that, I took excerpts out of the audit for this year for this, but they are here available for anybody that'd like to go through that as well. So I know that was very long-winded. I don't know if I answered your question exactly.
You answered it, and thank you for the clarification for everybody.
Thank you for that. And I will tell you that in my conversations with these firms, very confident that what we've done and what we're going to do here, that they will not only get 23 taken care of in short order, that they will also be able to get 24 accomplished in pretty short order. So, yes, sir.
Just as a personal note, I recognize that finding in the most recent audit. I didn't like that finding until I started talking to audit firms, which audit firms are few and far between, and finding them that are not busy is even more difficult. No audit firm really wanted to have much of a conversation with us unless we had pre-audit services. So audits are required. Auditors don't want to work unless there's a pre-audit service. So this absolutely makes sense.
Yes, thank you for that. Like I say, Mr. Ross spent quite a bit of time with me trying to make sure that we found, 7 or 8 firms that we went through, and this is where we landed. So, any other questions, comments on this? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Bain,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhaw,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 14, discussion and vote to approve the use of $113,000 in ARPA funds to contract with Lauterbach and Amon LLP to perform audit services for fiscal years 23, 24, and 25 annual audits. Can I have a motion? Mr. Ross, motion. I've got a second by Ms. Cole. Discussion on this. Questions? My answer might be just as long-winded, so I could just say ditto on the other, except that they're not going to help us with the budget services. And I will tell you that in the conversations with this, my first conversation was with Sikich to see where they stood as an interest with this, with a follow-up meeting with Lauterbach and Amon, which Mr. Ross had joined me on that one, only to find out further in the conversation that they had a recommendation for Sikich to be pre-audit services for them. Otherwise, they likely would not take on our county as a client. And at no time had I mentioned Sikich's name to Lauterbach and Amon, because honestly, I thought that they were in a competitive situation where we were going to really be kind of interviewing firms to see which was the best fit. In fact, the gentleman that I spoke to from Sikich First works directly with the woman we spoke to from Lauterbach and Amon, and they have a very solid relationship and working relationship. And so this is all but a package deal. Without one, we don't get the other. So, any questions? Any additional questions on this? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Bain,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mengel,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seibert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. So that there concludes our ARPA obligations for the year, which had to be done by the 31st. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to move on. I'd like to make a motion to amend the order of business to move item 16 before item 15.
Second
In a
that.
second. Any discussion on this? Okay. This requires a 2/3 vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you for that. It just makes sense for me to, with some stuff that's taken place over the past couple days, to discuss the compensation of the coroner's office first. So with that, I'd like to move on to item 16, to discuss and vote to set compensation setting resolution for Shelby County Coroner retroactive to December 1st, 2024. I have a motion. A motion from Ms. Bain, a second from Mr. Pritchard. I will start with the discussion on this item. It was brought to our attention late last week, and a little more pronounced as this week has gone on, that the compensation for the Shelby County Coroner's Office was not set at the prescribed time of 180 days before the office holder takes their office. So for every position that we have in an election year, the board has a responsibility of setting compensation 180 days in advance, which in most cases is December 1st. So that would have taken us back to the May regular board meeting to have set this compensation. I don't have a whole lot more to say on this, except that I've worked very closely with Ms. Fox and Ms. Woolery this week to navigate what our options and potential solutions could be. At this time, we don't have a firm answer or solution to this. There's a lot of information to go through. There's a lot of there's case law, there's attorney general opinions, there's a lot of things to navigate. And if you've ever read any of these opinions, you realize that these opinions might have a second opinion somewhere else. And to put any of you or myself in a situation to vote on something that we don't have 100% clarity on right now, I don't think that would be the right thing for me to do, is to ask that to happen. And I'm not prepared to ask the state's attorney at this point to render a legal opinion, just based on the large amount of data and information on this topic. I just don't think it's fair to you, and I don't think it's fair to her for us to make that case tonight. So with that, are there any other questions on this particular item?
I just got a question. I know, like you said, we don't need to ponder these things too much, but we can't just transfer funds on something like this?
So I think if what you're asking me is about it's not a money issue, because the money was budgeted for the year, so the money's in the budget for this. What it is the statutory requirement to set that compensation amount 180 days before the office holder takes place. Even if that had been set in May, right, this issue wouldn't be an issue. But even after that, you're not allowed to change their pay in that time frame if it wasn't prescribed to be changed over that term. So this pay, in effect, would have been a four-year cycle, right? It would have been set for 4 years at that point. And if there's any pay raises, it would be included in what that resolution would have said. So it's not a matter of the funding or money not being available. It's a matter of the precedent not being set to actually pay out that money.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I got another question.
Okay.
How did this happen?
I'm not gonna I don't know, I don't know if I can speculate to that.
Well, I don't want to point the long.
I just know that, I mean, we didn't vote on it as a board, right? And I say that as a collective, I mean, there's still a handful of us here that were on the board at the time. And so, it wasn't something that was brought up to vote on at this point.
Well, I don't want to get, I wouldn't want to get anybody in trouble. It just, just how do these things happen? How can we avoid it next time?
So I can't answer the first part of the question of how it happened, but I can answer the second part, is how do we avoid it next time, is I will work with the clerk and I will work with other offices on items that have these types of, time-sensitive requirements. So in election year, we know when election cycles come up, is for us to go and whether we use the calendar system in there to set a perpetual reminder every year in April that this has to be an agenda item, right? Whether it's, and I can do it in my email, I can do it in Jim's email, the clerk can do it in her. We can put those reminders in the system to pop up perpetually every 2 to 4 years, whatever that cycle looks like, to where this doesn't come again. So, I don't know exactly how that fixed. That's just one thing that comes off the top of my head, is trying to find a way to where we have a constant reminder to make sure that this doesn't go undone. So, but again, I can't thank Ms. Fox or Ms. Woolery enough for the amount of work that they've put in, in the last few days to kind of navigate through this and find information. And again, if you get into Illinois code, it's a lot to read. There's a lot of words and a lot of things, and none of this is 100% clear at this point. And so I will go through here a little bit more about the temporary solutions that we have to this. But we just don't have the ability to make an informed decision tonight on setting this issue.
Mr. Yantis had his hand up.
Who's that?
Mr. Yantis.
No question.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm new to this. Would the appropriate thing to be to table it until later?
It will be, yes. But yeah, I want to make sure I get all the discussion points out there. Yes, it will be.
So I think I'm probably putting the cart before the horse, but Moultrie County is taking care of that situation and will continue to take care of that.
Yeah, I'll get you some of that. I do have a further update on that. I mean, there were updates that came in as late as almost 4:30, 5 o'clock tonight on those. But yes, I will provide that.
Okay.
Would statute have enabled us to continue to pay at the same rate previously?
So that's being explored. So that is one of the items that's being looked at right now. But to make that determination in such short order, to make sure there isn't something that conflicts with that, again, I didn't feel prudent to put any of us in this room in that situation to take that vote.
I understand. Just for the question.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. And it's been looked at. Is the best way I can put that. So. Any other questions or discussion on this? All right, with that, I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, there's no discussion, sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 15, in reverse. Discussion vote to take compensation, setting resolution for Board of Review District 2, retroactive December 1st, 2024. Motion on this, please. Mr. Ross, in a second. Ms. Grant. All right, same concept. Right, so unless we want to go back through everything I just said again, I will make a motion to table item 15.
Second.
Second, Mr. Ross. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Item 17, discuss and vote to approve an appointment to the office of Shelby County Coroner. Take a motion, please. Ms. Cole, I got a second, Mr. Pritchard. So I'll just discuss everything that I know now, I guess, under this topic. So just bear with me a lot. The past couple weeks have been, it's been a lot to kind of go through. So to Mr. Drake's point, we've had some very good support from Mr. Reed and Moultrie County over the past couple weeks. And appreciation I can't give enough for what they've done and what they provided to us. In the past 2 days, I've had a lot of conversations with Mr. Harris, David Harris, who is the coroner out of Fayette County. And Mr. Harris is also the president of an organization called the Illinois Coroners and Medical Examiners Association. They have a website. The website's actually very, very helpful. It shows all the participating counties that are have a membership in this organization. They actually have a really nice resource page that includes all the law and statutes relating to the position of county coroner. So it was really helpful to navigate some of that. I called Mr. Harris because he is the president of that organization to see what our options exist, because the site indicated that if you're a participating member of this organization, that you have a mutual aid agreement with participating members of this organization. And so exploring what that looked like with Mr. Harris. So we spent quite a bit of time yesterday and today working out how to navigate this situation to get us to a point to where we could have more footing on the previous items we just discussed on compensation, but also make sure that our community is provided the services that we need for the office of coroner. I will tell you that I've learned a lot more about the office in the last 2 weeks, specifically the last week, than I ever thought that I would need to know about the office of coroner. The laws, the regulations, in addition to the sensitivity and compassion that we would expect, this person to have to fill this role for us. The wild card of this is not having compensation at this time to offer anybody that might have an interest. And with the job that they do, it's not a part-time job. It is a pretty significant haul on them. And even looking at what the compensation was before, honestly, that doesn't seem like a lot of money to me to be doing what these folks do on a regular basis. So with that, the potential offer of zero seems to make it a little less appealing for anybody to want to do this. So Mr. Harris was very gracious with his offer. And so where we stand now is in conjunction with Moultrie County, who's helped up to this point, is all the collar counties to Shelby County are members of this association. The best way that I can phrase this, I think, that makes the most sense is Mr. Harris is going to quarterback our services for us until we get a permanent solution. Meaning he knows all the coroners in Effingham, Cumberland, Coles, Moultrie, Christian, and East Fayette. And depending on the need and the proximity due to obviously we have a large land base for our county, is to essentially provide overlap and rings on if we have a particular need in a particular part of the county, is he will help us help quarterback the need to have coroner services provided to the county, which gives us some breathing room to find a solution, a permanent solution, while navigating what the compensation piece of this looks like. And so on the offset, I can't thank these folks enough for everything that they've done to step up and help us through this process, because it is a lot. One of the most significant things that I learned is cremation services cannot be afforded to anybody without the ability to sign paperwork. And I do not think that our families in this community deserve any delays in anything in this regard. It's a very sensitive topic to begin with, and any delays in that would be a challenge. So I mentioned that there was some discussion or some things that took place even late this afternoon, early into this evening. And the revelation to this was that even our deputy coroners are no longer in service in this county. So the coroner, again, in a very unique situation, in a position, the deputies that are sworn in underneath a coroner, when a coroner is no longer in their seat, the deputy coroners are also no longer in their seat. And so that, I found that out today at 4 o'clock. The sheriff also had been in communication today with Mr. Harris and was made aware of this as well, which put us in a position within 2 hours to make a decision on what path to take with this. Because one of the deputies could have been assigned the ability to sign paperwork for the state through the state system. That's no longer an option for us. Is to have, again, all of this is my understanding, passed on by a gentleman that has been doing this for a long time, and he had just got off the phone with the Vital Records Department in Springfield. And so we don't have anybody in the county who can sign this paperwork in our county for not only death certificates, but for cremation permits, which creates another level of challenges for us. Is how do we do this? So Mr. Harris or the surrounding communities can provide our coroner services for us, but they cannot sign our paperwork for us. So we don't have deputies in the county that can sign this, and you cannot sign paperwork for another county if you're in another county. So we've been put in a little bit of a tighter spot this evening. However, the gentleman at the Vital Records Department in Springfield can sign our paperwork for us. So they do have the ability to sign our permits and our death certificates. So with that, Mr. Harris serving as our coroner, to facilitate coroners throughout the area, our community will have coroner services available to them, and they will then facilitate signature needs through the Department of Vital Records. Whatever, I may get my office is wrong, but Vital Records will be able to sign the permits and our death certificates for us in the meantime. The sheriff was put in contact today with Mr. Harris. His dispatch has Mr. Harris's information, so Mr. Harris will be the go-to call for any issues that we have needing coroner services, likely until we get to January at this point. There may be something I'm forgetting, it's possible. So I guess with that, I will gladly do my best to answer any questions that you might have on this. Yes?
So does Mr. Harris have the ability to appoint somebody here as a deputy coroner?
No. He does not.
From the finance committee standpoint, if something hasn't happened to where there's an autopsy or something like that, will the various coroner that provides the service for that area of the county, will they submit the bill to the county for us, or do you know how that's going to work?
So I will just say that if it's the cost is incurred in the county, they will just submit the expenses to the county.
But it could come from the Effingham County Coroner or the Fayette or whoever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's just, something that we'll have to watch out for as we navigate.
Yeah. one of many, unfortunately.
Just, to me, it sounds like we're pretty fortunate that we have, Mr. Harris, like you said, quarterbacking that situation. It's unfortunate that he has to, but it sounds like we're pretty fortunate that he's going to.
Yeah, it's a very valid point, and I'll even take it maybe a step further, is, the legacy and the passion of Mr. Fagley continues to live on through this, that he was a member of this organization that put us in contact, the ability to have these services with these other counties surrounding us. So, I don't know the cost of the membership of that organization, but I'll tell you right now, we're going to get our money's worth.
Okay, so we were a member of this organization. Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Yeah, and again, on their website, I go on to look to see all the collar counties for Shelby County. They are also all members.
Okay.
And Mr. Harris, the president of the organization. Ms. Colton.
So if somebody would come forward and say they would take this job on for no pay, would that be a possibility until it?
So if we were to make an appointment right now, that appointment is 2 years. So, just full transparency, the sheriff and I talked about, the sheriff being in this position, right now, we could appoint the sheriff tonight if we chose to.
And then, on top of that question, could he appoint deputy coroner?
Sure,
And then,
he would then be serving in a dual capacity as sheriff and as coroner, which is allowed to do. And he would have the ability to appoint, he would still be able to sign the paperwork, he would be able to appoint the deputies. However, it's not the ideal long-term solution for the sheriff or the county. So in that situation, so you're kind of in the brain of Tad Mayhall through this entire week, so you're just gonna have to run through my madness here for a minute of what we went through. If we went through that situation, we found a solution in January or February, and the sheriff is like, hey, thank you, I'm off. What we have to do is now he has to resign. All of those deputies that he appointed are now no longer deputies. And we're going through all those motions again. So, here's what I know is with all of the information and all of the changes and challenges that have been thrown at this situation in the last week and a half, specifically the last 24 hours, I don't know specifically what the right answer is for tonight. I know that we have a coroner who's willing to go out there and facilitate the services we need, and an office that's willing to sign our paperwork. And that solution provides us the time to find a better long-term solution without putting the sheriff or the undersheriff in a situation of doubling up on their job responsibilities at this point. Because if I were to recommend we appoint a sheriff, then somebody's going to have to pick up some of his additional duties in the meantime. And to me, I find that to be a less appealing solution than letting the others help us out at this time.
So ideally, we don't find ourselves in this situation, but we are. So our best hope for a plan would be to be able to set a resolution and find a person that's willing to fill that for 2 years. If not, we do somewhat have a fallback with the sheriff, with the deputies that we're serving. And essentially what Mr. Harris and the surrounding corners and the office, essentially what they're providing us is just a little space and time to decide a person is going to surface and we're going to be able to do this and that, or we, at January, we'll be better prepared with what we need to do. And so right now we're just being granted a grace period and some goodwill from from this association until we can figure out what we want to do.
That's absolutely correct. And I think that you probably summarized it best there, is we are providing an awful lot of space and grace on this. And I'll ask you the same, right? You know, all I can go on, you know, when it comes to leadership, you know, and even as a military leader, you know, my job is to rely on the council and the information provided to me by those that were trusted around me. You know, I didn't always have the time to go and do all the homework or research, but I would trust those that were my advisors to bring me the data so I could make informed decisions. And while I have spent a considerable amount of time over the past week or so researching information to try and make an informed decision, I'll tell you that I'm relying on folks that I've only met in the last 24 hours to provide me information and data. And, you know, to learn again 2 hours ago that even our deputy coroners don't exist, right? You know, I still have to go and validate and verify that, but when, you know, you have to call anybody at the state office at 401, the phone's not being picked up. So, but I think it's the most prudent is to take the advice and guidance from those that are around me to help shape those decisions. And I've done that. You know, I've got a trusted counsel with the state's attorney, who has also worked tirelessly to help shape what this could look like. You know, Ms. Fox has been invaluable over the past few days just on this topic alone, and the sheriff is always right. He's there to make sure that we're doing the best we can at the highest performance level to do this. And so, you know, with his coordination to make sure that they've got the right contact information in the county with Mr. Harris and Ms. Woolery, you know, doing her best to dig into the law and to find the best legal approach for this and what's going to be allowed. And Ms. Fox just trying to find records, you know, and data for me. Again, it's really kind of shaped me to where I'm at to make this decision tonight, which is, you know, I don't have a recommendation to fill in for coroner tonight. So without closing this down, I will just tell you that I don't have a name to provide tonight to make this happen.
What are the possibilities of resolving the pay problem before the next meeting?
There are options. There are things that have been looked at, and I just want to leave it at that level right now without being too committal on that. But Ms. Woolery's done, she's done a lot of work, especially the last 24 hours, to dig into stuff. And again, her time and her guidance and her counsel are invaluable to leading me to this decision this evening. To know that we need the space and the grace to, again, afford all of you the opportunity to not follow me down the stage, right? And I don't want to put you in that position either, to where we do something that we're going to look back later and wish we had. So, you know, I know that if we were to appoint the sheriff tonight and we gave him an off-ramp 30 days from now, the sheriff's going to take the off-ramp. Anybody else at that point, we don't have the ability to remove anybody from that office. And so we have to make the right decision at the right time.
Just an incidental question. It's a shame that we're in this situation. I appreciate the time you guys have spent on this. This is something we don't anticipate. I mean, this is not a normal thing to pop up. Are we a member of that consortium until the end of the year? Do we need to think about when does that need to be renewed, since we're coming up on December 31st?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I'll follow up on that. I don't have an answer to that.
I don't know, maybe, you know, if we don't have a coroner, I don't know if we can do it, you know, without a coroner present. That's a gray area.
No, I'll ask what the membership, I'll ask Mr. Harris tomorrow what that membership timeframe looks like. That's a very valid point that I thought about. Yes, sir.
I think our best decision right here is let time work itself. We can't rush into filling a position that was held by somebody dire to this county. We just need to take the time, whether that's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, as long as this organization will help us, the surrounding counties help us, we need to take this time to make the best decision we can make, because it's going to set our future for the next 2 years.
I not only agree to that, but I also appreciate appreciate that sentiment to, again, help me put my mind at ease that is the right approach. Because I will tell you that even up to 3 minutes before we started here and talking with the state's attorney and previously talking to the sheriff, again, I don't know. It's really hard to make a snap decision on such a significant topic. It's been a lot. And again, the council, the guidance from everybody involved has been really appreciated. So.
Just one more, and I don't think it might cover this, but is it possible for someone from one of the collar counties to deputize someone here? You can't even do that, can't even cross the line.
No.
Boy, that's
I did ask that question.
that's tough.
Yeah, they have the authority to do their coroner work here, but they don't have the authority to appoint additional officers or sign our paperwork.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be best just to table this?
Yeah, it will be, but I want to make sure I have all the questions, and if there's anything that I've missed or questions that anybody might have, I'll do my best again to answer those. If there's something that's still kind of out there, and even when we get to public body comment, if there's anything that anybody wants, I'll be happy to share it. There's a good chance I've talked about it or covered it in the past 48 hours, but if there's something that anybody wants to know, I want to be incredibly open and transparent on where we're at on this topic.
And just, if I may.
Oh, please.
Briefly, there's been a lot of research that has taken place this week. The scope of it is Illinois Constitution, county code, AG opinions, case law, some of which is contradictory to itself. So while the initial legwork has been done on this research, I just wasn't prepared to offer an opinion to where we could confidently, to where TAG can make a recommendation. So this additional time will give us that time to make those recommendations and finish that research so that it's clear and concise and you guys have a solid legal opinion that you can make your decision based off of.
Thank you for that. I mean, in addition to, protecting you as board members and shielding you from being forced into a decision that we're not completely confident on all the aspects of, I also felt the same obligation to the state's attorney to provide her some space to do the research that she needs to do to provide us that legal environment. I don't feel it's fair to put her on the spot in, 50 hours.
We really have been talking, we're talking 48 hours where I've been on the phone with the AG's office, where I've been on the phone with other state attorneys. It's just, it's a lot happening in a very short amount of time. At the same time, still maintaining the regular criminal docket, so.
Right, so yeah, again, her counsel this week has been invaluable. Her time and effort into this has been invaluable. She's answered every question I've had. She's, taken every call that I've made to get us to this point, but I don't feel it's fair to put her on the spot for a legal opinion at this point with the amount of information that exists on this topic. Any other questions on this? None.
Make a motion to table item 17.
Motion to table item 17 by Mr. Ross, and a second. Mr. Morse. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 18, discussion of vote to approve the 2024 tax levy for Shelby County. Motion. Motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Ross. Second, Ms. Matlock. You want to explain anything? Well, I'll be honest with you, with everything that's going on, the past week and a half, and I know that this topic was incredibly hot because the clerk made it very aware to me that this topic was incredibly hot. to make sure that we get this done by the end of the year. The benefit of having cooperation and partnership with folks is the ability to delegate and ask for assistance. And I'm really, really bad about asking for help, but I'm getting better as time goes on. And I use this as an opportunity, the ARPA as well as the tax levy. And so Ms. Bain said she would take it, and she also listed her own help from there. So as far as my full knowledge on everything here, I would say that they're far more ready on this than I am.
I can tell everybody that what we've got here in front of us is not what I had to work with. I had a report that was provided to me by the clerk and stuff, and Sunny and Christine and I have looked at the report, looked at the figures, looked at the levies, played with figures, and the best estimate, guess, that we can come up with are these figures on this piece of paper right now. It's kind of like the budget stuff that we had to work with. These right now are the best figures that we can come up with for these levies at this time. And I'd be glad to sit down and show you. Sonny and Christine and I sat over at Lisa's Cafe the other morning and looked over it and looked at what different departments had budgeted and stuff like that. But right now, this is the best that I feel comfortable with. I didn't mess with anybody's levy as such. Tweaked a little bit of the numbers for different places and stuff. But right now, I think that the way that the committees are set up and the budget committee is set up, and looking at the way the budget's working out going forward with those meetings and stuff, and looking at what people actually are using and stuff out of their budget, we're going to get a better idea. So next year when this comes back around, we'll have a better idea. But I think these figures are as good as we're going to get for right now.
I would concur with that. Again, back to the pre-audit services and the budget services from Sage. I think we'll have a better understanding with their guidance on how to do this a little bit better in a more timely manner come next year.
Aren't we, I don't know where your numbers are at compared to what was levied previously, but I assume we've stayed within the guidelines for how much we can raise without...
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Ms. Boehm and Ms. Matlock. I know any of these projects take an absorbent amount of time, and they were willing to sit down. A couple of things of interest for me. I know there was some concern about the 708 money and whether or not that money would be left alone or manipulated. It was not. I was glad to see that. The other thing, we are a PTEL. I've discussed that with Ms. Fox numerous times. We're PTEL County, so for the taxpayers at home, the most we can do is ask for 3.8% increase from last year. That's standard customary across the board. It's 5% or CPI, whichever is lower. We'll be collecting roughly $200,000 more than we did last year. So any hyperbole that's on any social media, we're not raising everybody's taxes $1 million. Taxpayers are going to see an increase because a lot of property values have increased. And so that's going to be one issue. But everything that I saw that they had done, it seems to make sense, and it's well in line with what I would expect. So I appreciate the effort.
Thank you for that. Again, the intent will be, as we navigate 2025, when we get to the fall, and we're looking at this, having to do this again next year, is we will have much better data. We'll have a lot more economic data.
We won't wait till December next year.
And we won't wait till December to make these decisions. So, which also will greatly help on the load. When it gets next December, it's going to be a little quieter than this one was. So with that, any other discussion or questions on this? Okay, for this roll call. Okay, roll call, please.
Bain?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Hardy?
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhall,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seibert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wofford,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, well, I mean, officially that concludes business likely for 2024. So thank you, everybody, for what you've done to get us to this point. And so I will now move on to item 19, which is public body comment. Public body comment.
I actually have a question if I can. A few of us have decided to decline all payment for meetings and such. What is the is there really any form I need to fill out? I thought I was already a voter and I don't need to provide any more proof that I don't want to be paid other than an email that says I don't want to be paid. Does someone know?
I can't answer that form we need you to fill out, but I've been advised, and it's worked, that if you don't want to receive compensation for meetings, that you just send an email to the treasurer's office indicating you want to decline payment for the year, and for the new board members, that if you don't want any compensation or mileage for your committee meetings, then you just don't fill out the voucher for the meetings that you attended. So really the only action you would have to take is send an email to request that you not receive compensation for regular, special, or emergency board meetings.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, the email that I received from the treasurer today, it asked that we still fill out the I-9 form, which is employment verification or whatever with your driver's license. I don't know if that's, and they did ask that you send back an email saying that you were not going to receive compensation, which I did. But they're still asking that we fill out that I-9.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't have any answers to the I-9 thing at all. But yes, if you want to decline compensation for the year, just send an email saying that you do want to have compensation. So, public body comment. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to say, wish everybody there a Merry Christmas, it's coming up. And thank you, the last two meetings, I've been coming for 2 years. In the last two meetings, I saw more accomplished for good than I've seen in 2 years. And I appreciate that. The county's going to get a lot of use out of it. The coroner services, but I do kind of have a question on that. So it's a mutual aid, so if somebody is coming, they're coming from different directions wherever the situation may be, and then we will be billed accordingly from that county, or from that corner.
I will get back to you on that. I mean, again, I learned a lot about this in the last 24 hours, and the clerk and I are working together on all those answers, what that's going to look like. As far as the, what payments we would incur. Again, I'll just make an assumption that if we would have incurred the cost in Shelby County to begin with, we would incur the cost still. But I will get more clarity on this as the days come ahead, as we kind of charted this uncharted territory before.
Thank you, and I'm looking at the last two agendas, the amount of work that had to go in from our department heads, our clerk, our board members, our state's attorney, our sheriff. You could just go down the line and look at the agenda and realize the amount of work in a short period of time that's been put in. And I'm happy to say that looks good for the new year coming up in January. So thank you very much for the work you've done.
Yeah, thank you for that. Public body comment. Yes, sir.
Real quick question. You mentioned that the state office can sign the documentation for the coroner's position. Just a pure procedural question. Are we looking at like an electronic signature? I'm just thinking about lag time for folks, like when they're preparing for, one of the worst situations in a person's life. This is another step of inconvenience that, frankly, they don't need at a time that's very difficult for them. So I was just curious. I mean, is that what we're looking at? Faxing? Like, what are we thinking about in terms of how much the wheels of bureaucracy are gonna grind this thing
Yeah,
and slow this thing down?
Yeah, it's a fair question. So when I spoke to Mr. Reed last week and Mr. Harris today, it's a computer system that they use, and it's a drop-down menu that brings down your name and fills in the signature for you. So it is electronic, is my understanding for these.
So surrounding the folks with our mutual aid agreement surrounding counties, they can fill out all the paperwork, they just can't. They just can't sign it.
That's right.
So they'd be able, at the state office, they'd be able to sign it. We're not looking, hopefully, at too much of a delay, if that's the case.
No, I mean, I'm hoping not. Again, I'm not done with this conversation, just because tonight's over. There will be more that takes place tomorrow. I'm trying to make sure I get some more clarity on these items, but it is a computer system. Specifically, I don't remember the name of the system, the sheriff I remember. I know that they were asking about the access for it, but I know that the access, the county has its own specific access for this system. So it is a computer system. The holidays, I expect to have some sort of delays, but I would like to think that, even folks like that, we need to get some of those things done. So, but by all rights, it's all electronic. It's my understanding. But if that changes, I'll let you know.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I had just one further comment. I just want to thank you guys. One of the things, I don't want to talk too much about the past. We're moving on. Things are getting better. There's no need to drag out a bunch of the stuff that's happened. But there was this assumption that this board and a lot of the folks that were just elected were not going to follow the law, that we're not going to be in compliance with the law. But they're not the ones that put us in this position where we're potentially out of compliance because we can't appoint a coroner. That was our previous board, headed by a supermajority of folks that don't think like the majority of folks that we have here now. And in fact, I was dragged in front of the state election board because I was accused of not following election law, and they tossed that out. So what I saw tonight was actually a serious effort, a serious concerted effort to make sure that you're crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's, doing the things the right way, the way that you're supposed to be doing those things. That's with the coroner position, but also with the audit position. Because, Mr. Mayhall, you cited at least 2 of the recent findings and then addressed them directly with what we're doing with our new auditors. So the notion that this board and that the folks that are serving on this board or our state's attorney is not interested in compliance with the law is completely erroneous, and I hope now that we can put that to bed and we can stop listening to the clown show that is parroting this language. They're not here. I was hoping I could wish them a Merry Christmas tonight, sincerely. But that's over with. That's done. They were dancing about this coroner bit, speculating that you all were going to break the law. And there was absolutely zero compassion for the fact that our community now, because of folks that they ran PR for, put us in a position where we don't have a coroner. And we have families now that are going to be dealing with the worst moment of their life with a loved one. And there's an extra step in that process that doesn't need to happen because there were folks that were way more interested in performative politics than they were in service. So I am thankful for everybody in this room that is working now to serve the public. This looks like the community that I grew up in. It looks like a community I want to live in. It looks like a community that more people are going to want to live in. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Thanks
Cole.
for Chris.
What's that?
And thanks for Chris being here.
Thanks, Jake. Is that the extent of your comments, Jake?
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, all right. That might be the shortest Jake Cole public body comment. Public body comment. Yes, sir.
I just want to thank everybody for working together to accomplish a lot of these things. And I know the road ahead is still difficult and there's still some issues to iron out. But I think you guys are off to a good start and making good progress, and just keep working together and work for the best of all of Shelby County together. So.
Thank you. Public body comment. Public body comment. Sorry, before I bring us out here for the rest of the year, I am going to take a moment, if you'll grant me just a moment here, because I have a list of thank yous, and there's a possibility, and I run the risk of not mentioning somebody, and so if I do that, I apologize in advance. Again, the last couple of weeks have provided some additional challenges that we didn't foresee, we can't control at this point. But I'll tell you that regardless of whatever happened didn't happen, at the end of the day, we own this process now, right? We own what's in front of us, so we will get it done. I promise you that, I will do my best to bring you the best possible solutions, and give you the opportunity to make a decision on whether some of these solutions are the right answer, right? Because at the end of the day, the vote's still yours to make on that. But I'm not going to put you in harm's way, knowing that we may not have all the information for that. So regardless, the situation and the challenges we have, over the next 30, 60 days, they're ours. We own them, and we're going to own them, and we're going to take care of getting us to that, to the other side of this. So I promise we'll get there. So just bear with me. And I know a lot of you have reached out over the last couple of weeks with questions, and I appreciate the calls, and I will always do my best to return your call in a timely manner. But I want to run through a list of folks here, and thank you. One, all the department heads, everybody's been fantastic to work with, and I don't want to single any out, but I'm going to, just because, and again, if I miss something, I'll apologize in advance. But I want to thank Mr. Ross again, working, not only through the budget, when we got through the budget thing a couple of months ago, but also, working to have conversations with the auditors, so I wasn't the only one doing this to take place, but also helping get some of this ARPA stuff over the finish line and getting some of our emergency services done. So thank you for that. And the same thing goes to Mr. Pritchard. Again, collecting all the information that's needed to get some of this stuff taken care of. I just didn't have time, capacity, or even honestly the knowledge of where to go to get some of this information. So thank you both for that. They're not here, but Ms. Miller, Mr. Hudson from the Animal Control Department also have been incredibly great to work with, especially over the last 6-7 weeks, making sure that we got them properly taken care of. The leaps and bounds efforts that they've taken to get that department up and running, to bring in additional services, and to make sure that they've done everything there is fantastic. They've been nothing but fantastic partners to work with to get this stuff done. Again, I can't thank them more than enough. Mr. Tappendorf, again, in the cooperation and getting more equipment for them, and the ability to be able to split that with his budget and his department to make sure we could spread more of this money around last week was very helpful. I've mentioned Mr. David Harris and Mr. Lynn Reed. Both of those gentlemen have been incredibly beneficial and helpful over the past couple of weeks in learning stuff that I, didn't expect to ever have to learn, but to put me in a position to be able to relay information back to all of you to let you know where we're at with this, but also to provide us very vital and crucial services to the families of our county. And I can't thank them enough, and there's likely a chance that I'll have the opportunity to thank the other collar counties for the support that they're going to give us. Jessica has been fantastic. I don't even have the right words to put on display here, right? I would likely use repetitive words over and over again, but in 2 weeks, we've pulled off 2 massive agendas to get this stuff in front of the board. And again, if you don't know, a special meeting isn't just a matter of creating an agenda and posting it on the website. There's a couple of extra steps that you have to take to include publishing it in the paper, which cut our deadline 24 hours short because we had to add that to the paper by Monday. But to a fault, she's there as a great partner to work with, and she made sure that I don't unnecessarily mess up. I'm going to mess up, but if she sees it, she's going to tell me. So thank you, Jessica. Tim and Carol, again, when it came to a lot of the ARPA related items, and Tim going to the extra effort to make sure that we are gonna, get the clock and stuff done. They both spent a lot of time with department heads, making sure that we got a vehicle for probation, which, by the way, Ms. Wade called me today from the DMV, that she was titling the vehicle to thank me for the fact that she already has a vehicle 1 week later from that money being approved for her. So the work has results already. So, but thank you both for everything that you've done over the past couple of years, but specifically the last 60 days. It's been great. Teresa fits in the same category as it relates to the ARPA stuff. She's been relentless champion to make sure that our departments have been contacted and this has been taken care of. But she also picked up Ms. Matlock this week and sat with Mr. Ross, and they championed getting this levy information done in a time where I needed additional help, and they didn't balk at this at all, and they really helped get this taken care of. So I thank you. I appreciate everything that you've done. Where am I at? Get a checklist here. Oh yeah, Ruth. Thank you. To be fair, you check my paperwork. I was just scattered all over the place, but even before the past couple of weeks, she's just been there as a trusted advisor, to guide on some things. And again, the last 48 hours, I think, have both really tested our capacity a little bit, and again, we have a little bit of breathing room to get to a better solution. But again, I cannot thank you enough for everything over the past week. Really, it's just been great. So thank you for that. Sheriff, thanks, Brian. I mean, not only for everything over the past few weeks, but we go back to the spring, and when you were handed the responsibility of getting this window project done, I don't even think it was 24 hours, and you sent me the signed contract, but like, yeah, we're underway, good to go. And as a result, here we are, much more energy efficient. Sure, it looks a lot better than orange flappy plastic in the wind. And even our maintenance staff is telling us that our air conditioning and heat system actually turns off now during the day. So, I'll thank you in advance for everything that you are going to do, but what you've done to make sure that we have secured contractors in a very short time frame to make sure we can obligate this money to get this courthouse and the repair that it needs to be in, and you were solely responsible for that. So thank you again, not only for that, but everything for public safety, and even the last couple of days with the coroner stuff. So thank you for everything that you've done, and thank you in advance for everything that you're going to do, because you're gonna I'm positive of it. So thank you. And they're not here, but I'm gonna thank my family, because they've dealt with an awful lot of my stuff, especially the past couple of days, right? My oldest daughter last night looked at me. She goes, "You're gonna be all right." I'm like, "We're gonna be all right. Just get me through, Thursday." And not knowing what Thursday was gonna bring, but here we are. But no, my family's been very supportive of everything up to this point. And again, I can't thank them enough for everything that they've brought to me. So if I left you out, I apologize. Come and talk to me later. Just don't do it right now. I feel today. So with that, anybody else have anything?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think on behalf of the board members and everything, we owe you a thank you too. You have put in an exhaustive amount of work.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, but without the people here and that are not in this room today, none of this would have been possible. No, it just couldn't do it. So I appreciate it. Again, all my thank yous are meant because we wouldn't be here today without the help of everybody else. So anything for the rest of the year? And by the rest of the year, I mean, don't call me. All right. Seeing none, take a motion to adjourn 2024.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I don't know.
Opposed? Oh, sorry, Mr. Tate. Sorry, I'm just ready to do that today.